Hello master, I am now online. How may I help you?
Open Google.
Identifying speech. Opening Google. How may I help you?
Search Google.
Identifying speech. I am listening.
Python official.
Identifying speech. How may I help you?
Go back.
Identifying speech.
Hey guys, what's up everyone? Today in this video, I'm gonna teach you how you can easily make a voice assistant that will automate your day-to-day tasks in your browser. Like for example, if you want to open a new site, you can simply say open Google and this will open Google in a new tab without you doing anything. This is a very cool project in which the voice assistant will reply to your every query by performing the task in the browser. And this will be very useful to you if you are a lazy programmer like me. So let's get right into it. So the first thing that you need to do is download and install Python from the official site. But make sure to download and install Python version 3.6 only, as one of our packages does not support later versions. We would now install packages required for our project. So I would open up my command prompt and type here pip install pyaudio. This is for managing input and output audio stream, speech recognition. This is for converting our voice to a string, Selenium. This is a popular framework for automating browser. And lastly, pyttsx3. This is for converting text to speech. And now hit enter. We would now need to download a WebDriver executable for Selenium to work properly. You can download it for any browser that you want. As I am using Chrome, I would type here Chrome WebDriver. Click on the first link and download it according to my Chrome version. So I will click here. Now my system is Windows 10, so I will click here. Now click on the file, copy it and create a new folder for my project. So I would name it browser assistant and paste my file here. We are now ready to start coding. I have created a file called main.py in the folder that we created earlier. So now we will import all our required modules in this file. So I would type from Selenium import WebDriver from selenium.webdriver.common.keys import keys, import speech recognition SSR. Now we will import time, and finally we would import the module called pyttsx3. Now we will instantiate all of our classes. So first I will create a variable called driver equal to webdriver.chrome. Here you can also use Firefox if you have downloaded the executable for Firefox. Now here in the argument I will specify the location of my previously downloaded executable. So I will go there and copy it and paste it here and make it double quotes. And write here Chrome driver.exe. Now I will call the function called maximize window. So whenever our browser starts, it is always maximized automatically. So I will type maximize window. We will now initialize our voice assistant. So I will create a variable called engine equal to pyttsx3 .init. Now I will create a variable called voices so that it stores both male and female voices and we can use whichever we like. So I will type here engine.getProperty. Argument as voices. Finally, we will call the function called setProperty to set the type of our voice. So I will call the function called setProperty engine dot set property, and I will pass the argument as voice, and here I will type voices 0.id. Here 0 means male and 1 means female voice, so I will choose 1 for female voice. Now use the function called say. So I will type engine dot say, and whatever is passed in the argument will be set by our voice assistant. So I will type hi, I am a voice assistant, and finally we will use the function called run and wait. So make sure that the assistant say these words. So I will type engine dot run and wait. Finally, we will run the script to make sure everything is working fine. So I will go to my folder, type there cmd python main.py. Browser is opened.
Hi. I am a voice assistant.
Our assistant is working fine. Now I will remove these two statements as they are not needed anymore. So I will remove them and get a variable called recognizer equal to sr.recognizer, which is the name of class. Similarly, create a variable called microphone equal to sr.microphone. We will now create a utility function called speak, so that whatever argument is passed here would be set by our assistant. So I will name the argument as query. Now we would use the function called say as we saw earlier in the tutorial. So I would type engine.say query, and similarly use the function called run and wait. Our function is now ready to use. We would now create another function called recognize speech, which will take our voice and convert it to a readable string. So I will type def recognize speech. Since I am using my microphone to take my input, I would type with microphone as source. Now I will use a function called listen to take my voice input and assign it to a variable called audio equal to recognizer dot listen, and I would specify the argument as my source. So I would type here source and phrase time limit equal to 5. We will now create a variable called response, which will contain our audio in the form of a string. So I would type response equal to an empty string. Let's use our function called speak and type here identifying speech, which would give confirmation. We would use exception handling to make sure our script is running even when there is an error. So I will type try response equal to recognizer dot recognize Google and give the argument as audio. Now this function will convert our audio into a string. If there is an error midway, I would type in except response equal to error. Finally, we would return the response. So I would type return response. Our function is now ready to use. We will now add a delay of 3 seconds so that everything is initialized properly. I would type time.sleep 3. We will let the assistant greet ourselves. So I will type speak, and here I will type the greeting. So I will type hello master, I am now online. We will write all of our main logic inside an infinite while loop. So I would type while true. We will now again let the assistant give us a confirmation. So I would type how can I help you. Now in the while loop, we will continuously take our voice input and convert it to a string. So I would take a variable called voice equal to recognize speech the function that we created earlier and convert it to a lowercase string. So I would type dot lower. Finally, we will print the variable. So I would type print voice. Now we want to detect some key phrase in our voice, and if that key phrase is detected, we want to perform some action. For example, if I want to open Google, I would have to detect open Google in my voice. So I would type if open Google in voice. Then I would perform the action of opening Google. So first I will give the confirmation opening Google, open up a new tab, window.open, get a list of all the tabs. So I would take a variable called window list equal to driver dot window handles. Switch to the latest tab. So I would type driver dot switch to window list of -1. And finally we will type the URL called google.com. So I would type driver.get https google.com. Now once we have opened Google, we would now want to search something in it, right? So for that I would have to detect search Google in my voice. So I would type elif search Google in voice, and then I would take another infinite while loop. So I would type while true, give it a confirmation. So I would type I am listening. I would take a variable called query equal to recognize speech, and if query is not equal to error, break out of the loop. Now query is something that we would type on the Google search box. Now we would want to search the Google search box. So for that I will open Google and right click and inspect elements. And as I can see here, the name of the search box is Q. So I would write here element equal to driver dot find element by name, and name is Q. I will call the clear function. Now in the search box I will now send the query. So I would type send keys. I would type query. Finally I will hit enter. So I would type send keys dot return, which is the enter key. Now let's test whether open Google and search Google is working or not. So I would go to the folder and run command prompt again python main.py.
Hello master. I am now online. How can I help you?
Open Google.
Identifying speech. Opening Google. How can I help you?
Search Google.
Identifying speech. I am listening.
Python.
Identifying speech. How can I help you?
Okay, now everything is working fine. So let's close this. Now let's get the same functionality for YouTube as well. For that I will copy the code from if till the end and paste it and replace Google by YouTube and everywhere. Okay, now we want to find the name of the search box for YouTube as well. For the Google it's Q. So for that I will go to youtube.com, inspect elements, and the name is search query. So I will copy it and paste it here. Now our functionality for YouTube is created. Now let's create the functionality of switching tabs. So normally we can switch tab by clicking Ctrl plus tab like this. So we want to create the same exact functionality in our code. So I will type elif switch tab in voice. Now I will take a variable called numTabs equal to length of driver dot window handles. This will give number of all tabs. Now we will take a variable called tab, which is a tab that we want to switch to. Now we will iterate on all the tabs for I in range numtabs. If the tab is equal to the current tab, current window handle, and if I not equal to numtabs -1, then we will assign cur tab equal to I plus 1 and break. Now we will switch to the tab using the function called switch to window. So I would type driver dot switch to window, driver dot window handle of cur tab. Now whenever we say switch tab, it will switch to the next tab. If the next tab is not available, it will switch to the first tab. Let's get the functionality of closing the current tab. So I would type elif close tab in voice. I would give out a confirmation closing tab and use the function called close. We would now get the functionality of going back and forward. So I would type elif go back in voice. I would use the function of back. Similarly for go forward, I would use forward. And lastly, I will create the functionality of closing the whole thing. So I will type elif exit in voice. I would give out a confirmation goodbye master and use the function called quit to close the whole thing. And lastly, if what we say is not in any of this, I would give out a confirmation not a valid command, please try again, and I would add a delay of 2 seconds. Our coding is now completed. Make sure to add break in here. Now let's test our voice assistant. So I will open up my command prompt, python main.py.
Hello master. I am now online. How can I help you?
Open YouTube.
Identifying speech. Opening YouTube. How can I help you?
Search YouTube.
Identifying speech. I am listening.
Python.
Identifying speech. I am listening.
Python.
Identifying speech. How can I help you?
Go back.
Identifying speech. How can I help you?
Switch tab.
Identifying speech. How can I help you?
Close tab.
Identifying speech. Closing tab. How can I help you?
Exit.
Identifying speech. Goodbye, master.
So everything is working fine. Do like, share and comment on this video if you have learned something new from this video, and subscribe for more awesome content like this. Thanks for watching.